Hi everybody, welcome back to the BK Natural Bees channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make some money from the bees before the honey even really starts flowing. Today we're going to split this hive right here, hopefully 3 different ways. One with the laying queen and the nuke for sale, and then hopefully 2 other ways in walkway split style so that I won't decrease the number of hives I have out here. So let's get started. I chose this hive because they've got a good laying queen, and also because they're not quite to the point where they need a honey super yet. I didn't want to take from my production hives that were either packing honey away right now or would be soon, because we depend on that money for the equipment to increase our hives. So, well, trying to make a little bit of money without that honey and still make sure that we get enough honey. Speaking of honey, this frame is full of it, and it had some on the bottom of that frame too. Don't let that stuff get out of hand. You gotta get rid of it when you see it. Alright, so that's food, and I'm going to set that aside in an area where I know that there's frames with nothing but food. Because I'm going to have to separate these in category: brood, honey food, and pollen food, because all of the splits need a certain amount of all 3 categories. Brood being the most important, but all 3 of those categories you can add at a later date. You don't have to start off with everything jam-packed right now. You can pay attention to the population over the coming days and add brood from another hive or from the original hive if you're just making a split from your own bee yard. But it's good to start off with enough so that they're not really starving or dwindling in population too much. So that frame that I just put in that hive over there had some brood in it. It wasn't full of brood. We have some empty would-be swarm cells right there at the bottom. A lot of eggs and larvae on this one. Oh, and there's the queen. Second frame. That's just luck. Right there in the corner. Right up there. Kind of a tiger striped girl. Alright, so she goes over here in the nuke. Put her right in the center of the nuke, and she has brood, because that's a brood frame in that 3 category system there. Of course, the queen is essential. If you're going to sell a nuke to somebody, you've got to make sure that it has a good laying queen in it. A lot of people think, I think a lot of people think that you have to be a queen rearer to sell some bees, and although that does help make more bees and therefore make more money, it doesn't have to be the case. You can just take your queen and 5 frames out of a hive and split your old hive, and you're alright. That's what we're doing today, and we're making some decent mid-season money doing that. Alright, so this has eggs and bees. So that's brood number 2 in this portion of the split. Hopefully I'm going to leave one right here, make one right there that I'll end up setting in that direction, and then make the cardboard nuke up for sale. So 2 frames of brood in the other one. This is another food, so I'm going to set that down. Alright, so there's nothing left in this top box. So I'm going to move this off to the side and get right into the bottom. Now, you can split hives, like I said. You don't always have to have the correct amount of brood because you can add it at a later date. But it does take a pretty good strong colony to be able to split in the first place, and then, of course, even stronger yet, to be able to split more than one way. So, I chose this one, like I said, because they're strong, they've got a good laying queen, and because they weren't quite ready to give me honey yet. Now that's not due to the fact that the queen was lazy starting off. That's due to the fact that for some other splits, I took a few frames of brood from this hive, kind of stalling their progression early on in the year. But I only did it on one hive so that I didn't stall all of my new bees this year, because like I said, that honey's important in making enough money to have equipment to expand the apiary next year. Alright, so that's very obviously some food. It's a good frame of honey, and I will do with it like I've done with the rest and set it aside. It's another with food, and I don't see any fresh eggs, but there's a lot of empty cells, so I think I might include this in the nuke, because she can lay that up really quickly. This nuke box is so small, the frames barely fit, which helps when you're driving around with them so that the frames aren't smashing together, but it's difficult putting the frames in and taking them out. Empty. Set that in a different pile. Whoops, I dropped it. Alright. It's a good pattern of brood. Good pattern of brood there. That will be the third brood frame for the nuke. And then I can give it some honey and pollen and call that one good. You can give it this frame of capped honey. And hopefully I'll find one with a decent amount of pollen on it. If not, I'll grab one from the shed. I know I have a few in there. Alright, well that's a frame of brood with some pollen on it. But that's a really nice wall-to-wall pattern. Wall to wall. A few drone cells, not too many. Of course, we need the drones flying around. These queenless portions of these splits, hopefully in a little over 2 weeks, we'll be heading out on some mating flights. Mating will never be successful if there's not enough drones flying around. Okay, so this is mostly eggs and young larvae. I think I'm going to add this as maybe the last brood frame for this portion of the split sequence. I'll have to give them some food. Now, one of them is going to be left in this old hive's location. Due to the fact that it's about 1 in the afternoon and it's fairly sunny, the one that is in the old hive's location doesn't necessarily need to have as many bees initially, because all of the returning bees will just come right in and only realize that something had happened, not realize that half of their clan is in a different location. So the one that's left here will not need as many bees. So that's a good frame of brood right there. Once again, pretty much wall to wall. I'm going to leave that one in here for right now. And yet another one, wall to wall. It's also going to get left in here. And yet another one. Wall to wall to wall to wall. Not a whole lot of food down here, which is normally a good thing. You don't want too much honey stored in your brood area. But of course it's inconvenient when making splits up because they all need food. Now, as I say that, this one, oh my goodness, that's heavy. That is full of honey. So that'll be the first food section for this part. Got to maneuver these frames so the brood that I put in here is in the center, and then I want the food on either side of that brood cluster. It doesn't have to be 8 frames of brood with 2 frames of food on the side. It just has to be enough brood to sustain and create a queen while having food on either side. It is June, almost July, and it's hot right now. You probably see me sweating, but still they sometimes have to cluster at night, and you do not want to have to create a small, or you don't want to have to make a small group of bees cluster over many frames to keep brood warm. So at least while you're starting out in the split, make sure that that brood is clustered together in the center so that they can cover it and keep it warm. When the bees start producing, when the queen starts laying and there was a lot more bees in the box, then you can start checkerboarding empty frames in to get them to draw it out and to get the queen to lay in it. But initially, they're not going to be making any more bees right now because there's not a queen in this box. So I'm going to keep that brood clustered in the center and flank it by food. Maybe I just made it sound complicated, but it's really not. Brood, food, and bees. Brood, food, and bees. That's all you need. Okay, so now I have 3 frames of brood in this one, 3 frames of brood in this one, 2 frames of brood in an empty frame in this one, and now I need to find some food. I'm going to have to go back up to the house, but that is how I make splits. You can see there's a lot of bees in here. There's a lot of brood, and they're going to have all those returning bees calling this place home because they don't have any other place to call home, whereas these ones are mostly nurse bees. I can just set them right over there, and they will maintain this brood and create a queen with some of the eggs that are in there. So I'm going to make almost 150 bucks from that while increasing the total amount of hives by 1. I have 1 where the old one was, I have another one to put somewhere else, and I have 1 going out to a customer. So that's how you make money before the honey starts flowing and without decreasing the amount of hives you have in your apiary. I always say it, get out there and have fun with your bees, but get out there and make some money. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, you want to see these splits as they go out throughout the year, click subscribe. I'd very much appreciate that. But otherwise, like I said, have fun with your bees.